Now, would you like a trip into space? If so, you're in luck, as Virgin entrepreneur Richard Branson is selling tickets for his rocket ship, all for a mere £324,000.
Wow.
Tickets are available for single seats as well as multi and full flight packages, with early hand raisers to be given first priority. Sir Richard's billionaire buddy and fellow space company owner Elon Musk has apparently already bagged himself a ticket.
I don't know if they're buddies, I thought they were competitors.
I thought.
Billionaire Club. Well, we're joined now by founding astronaut with Virgin Galactic, philanthropist and entrepreneur Per Wimmer. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So why space? just start there.
Absolutely. Well, space is fascinating. It is so exciting. It's sort of the new frontier for adventurers on planet Earth. We have traveled sort of around the Earth since the early days of exploration. But only less than 600 people have ever been into space. So it is truly the new frontier. And if you are excited, and now that it's possible, to try to push the boundaries, that's where you got to go as a pioneer. And therefore, it's thrilling and exciting that now space is opening up truly for a lot of people, at least with a good checkbook.
And Per, did you always have an interest in space? Was it something that appealed to you since you were, a little boy? Is this a lifelong dream?
I think when I was a young kid here in Denmark, it was not really realistic, to be honest. Privately, or indeed, we didn't even have a Danish astronaut program. So no, it was I was very excited about it, but it was just a far-fetched dream. It was only back in 2000 when I, as an adventurer, dialogued a lot with other adventurers. We exchange ideas, share ideas. And somebody told me then that space is opening up. And I bought my first ticket back in 2000, so 21 years ago, and actually started back then doing my space training in Russia under the Russian program. In centrifuge, I was flying MiG fighter jets, L-39s, and also did the Wommet Comet, as they call it, the weightlessness flying. So it was very exciting, and it was truly the early private citizen on planet Earth, Dennis Tito, took off from Baikonur, Kazakhstan in March 2001. And I watched him take off there on the Soyuz rocket, which was truly a breakthrough back then. And even to the last minute, I remember there were certain of the public authorities trying to stop that endeavor. But private space is solidly happening ever since Dennis took off.
So how would you respond to those people who say that, we've made such a mess of this planet environmentally, we've got a climate change crisis, and now we want to go and kind of export all our bad habits and space junk to space, and that really, that there's a kind of, that although there's a curiosity about what's out there, how can we do space travel and space tourism responsibly?
Well, I think you've got to look at the bigger picture here because, yes, of course, there is a carbon footprint to it. But actually, if you look at the total number of space launches, it's actually quite small still, even though it's accelerating. So the total carbon footprint compared to, say, airlines or shipping or something like that is relatively small. And then also, you've got to take into the equation all the massive benefits that private space brings along, including innovation, technology, cheaper access to putting satellites into orbit, therefore better internet access around the world, including poorer countries of the world, as well as cheaper medical experiments that you can now do in microgravity. So there's a lot of benefits, and I think you've got to look at the big picture here and do the true net of the positives and negatives, and in totality, the carbon footprint is not that big if you compare to other industries.
And Per, you said you've been through space training and been put through your paces on all of this. I just wondered, what was sort of the highlight and the low light of that training?
I think the highlight so far has got to be being in zero gravity. So the way that works is you go into a plane. If it's in the US, it's a 727, or in Russia, it's an Ilyushin 76. Go up into an altitude of 16K. And then from there, you nosedive down. So you accelerate on the way down with the equivalent of G. So faster and faster and faster, and basically creating weightlessness for 30, 40 seconds at a time. And during that time, you're flying around like a bird. You're literally free there, and it's an amazing feeling. And I must say that's probably the most memorable experience of the space training, just being like completely free, flying around and doing all sorts of acrobatics or whatever your imagination can come up with. But also flying fighter jets, I must say, was pretty cool. Very sort of Top Gun-ish, and that's also been part of my space training.
I mean, it does all sound incredibly cool, but a ticket of £324,000 is pretty exclusive, isn't it? And so do we have this, will we kind of end up in the situation where only sort of billionaires or friends of billionaires will get to see space and the rest of us mere mortals will have to stay on planet Earth?
Well, I hope not, to be honest. I mean, one of my great dreams and visions with all this is as we high net worth people contribute into the sector, the ticket price will come down. And I was a little bit disappointed to see the price was going up rather than down, because I want more people to go into space. And by the way, I'm sure Richard would want more people to go into space too. But it's just the pure commercial realities of life now that Virgin Galactic is a listed company. They are, according to the latest quarterly filings, they are running at $100 million loss a quarter. So you got to get revenues up to sort of make a profit. It is a listed company; it's got other stakeholders as shareholders. But I really hope that over time, commercial scale, like in any other business, will kick in, and therefore we're going to drive down the cost of the ticket price. Hopefully even below what it was initially announced at, and also before this price hike at $250,000. I hope it will come down to so that a lot of more people can actually have the great benefit of enjoyment in space and actually see the bigger picture. And to be honest, sometimes I just wish that some global politicians would take a space flight and actually take a little bit of a step back, look at planet Earth, look how small and fragile the whole thing is, and actually maybe start collaborating more, just like we do as astronauts, because we really don't care so much about cultural or religious backgrounds and stuff. We're all friends. And I wish that sometimes the political elite would do the same, and maybe a space trip would be a good investment.
And obviously the ticket costs £324,000. What does that include? Is that everything from start to finish, accommodation, training? What do you get for your money? Because it's not a cheap ticket, is it?
No, it's not, sadly, and I really hope the price will come down in due course, for sure. But what do you get for it? I mean, it is a trip of a lifetime. It is one of those things. When I look back in my life, and I've done a number of great adventures and great things in my life, but when I look back, I really the trip to space has got to be up there with one of those great elements of it. But what do you get? I mean, you take off from New Mexico in the morning. You're sitting in the rocket ship, and you've got a mothership on top. You fly up to about 16 kilometers. The rocket drops down, ignites, and then you get to fly at about 3 to 5 times the speed of sound, all the way up into space. You become weightless for a period of time. You enjoy the beautiful view of the Earth downstairs. There's beautiful, unique planets that are so unique amongst all the planets out there. And then you eventually turn around and you go back into the atmosphere. You experience 3,000 degrees centigrade outside the capsule. So it does get a bit hot on the way in. And then eventually you land, all within the same day. So it is a trip of a lifetime. It is enormously exciting. The view is, uncomparable with anything else. So, yeah, is it worth it? For sure it is. But I really hope the price will come down so more people get a chance to experience it.
I mean, you're really selling it. I mean, was there a part of you that was terrified? I mean, you are also kind of being catapulted out of this solar system into another. I mean, were you very scared? I would be. Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. Very nervous, at least.
Very nervous.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you do exciting things, and when you're an adventurer or an astronaut, it does carry a degree of risk, So I'm certainly conscious about the risk that we take. It's not a 0% risk. There it definitely is. But to be honest, I've done more risky things in my life. In 2008, we put another adventure together as our space trip was getting delayed. And I became the first person together with Ralph Mitchell to do a tandem skydive about Mount Everest. And that was quite scary, to be honest, because nobody else had done it before. The plane we were flying was not approved to fly that high at 9,000 meters. It was a little prop plane, a Porter, and we jumped out and we literally wrote the manual, for others to follow, but nobody knew that we were going to make it. So that was quite scary. With the space trip here, there's a lot more established trips. Test pilots has already been up there. The FAA, the American regulators, they have already tested, looked at a lot of the logbooks and things like that. So there's a lot more de-risking. So I feel a lot more relaxed going to space than skydiving Everest, to be honest.
It's fantastic.
He's braver. I think you're braver than both of us.
Yeah.
So, okay. So obviously you were you're aligned with Virgin Galactic. What do you think about the efforts that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have made as well? If you were not going to go with Virgin Galactic, what would be which other billionaire would you go into space with?
Well, these are very different rockets, first of all, and first and foremost, I really commend all of them, not just Jeff and Elon, but all of these entrepreneurs who are putting their money at risk and really try to open space for private people or for private stuff going up there. I think it's fantastic, and we really, as a collective, moving forward. There's been an awful lot of money going into space. I think last year was about $5.5 billion of private money, which is a supplement to what NASA and other government agencies are doing. So it's only a positive thing. But if you compare the different propositions that you mentioned there, I think it's fair to say that Bezos, Blue Origin, and Galactic is kind of in one group because they both have suborbital propositions, whereas what Elon is doing with SpaceX is orbital. He's literally taking customers up, and customers being NASA astronauts for now, up to the International Space Station. So he's going further. He's going 400 kilometers up. So it's a different type of rocket, much more powerful. But I think it's fair to say that even though technically some of these are competitors, there's a lot of friendliness in between us all. I mean, for instance, Elon was present when Richard took off on July 11th this year, and wishing him good luck, and he even bought a ticket himself, and Richard sort of jokingly he might buy a ticket on his plane as well. So who knows? I mean, it is actually very friendly amongst astronauts and not so competitive as the media sometimes would like it to be.
Well, that's good to hear. Per Wimmer, you were absolutely the bravest man we've ever had on GB News. Thank you so much for chatting to us this afternoon, founding member of Virgin Galactic. Now, there are lots